Hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode 91 of the Play to Win podcast, the show where we break down the week's biggest gaming news through in-depth discussion. My name is Tyler. I am your host this week, and of course, I am joined by my co-host over here. Tyler, how are you doing? It's been a good week for us at the very least. Games industry, maybe not so much, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for sure. Luckily, I think it kind of coincided. There was zero news the last 2 weeks, and then this week, not the best news in the world as far as like people's prospects, but there's things to talk about for sure. And so we'll do our best to talk about those and bring as much brevity to those subjects as requires.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully we won't be here 2 full hours, close to 2 hours.
Yeah, there won't be a zany antics or horny meters when it comes to like people getting laid off. So
no, there can't be that. That's not going to happen. But the conversation will probably still be pretty in depth.
It'll still be fun. We'll try and keep it light between the topics for sure. But
yeah, but otherwise, that aside, you're doing good this week. Having a good week and all.
Yeah, for us, fine. The Cowboys won a fucking playoff game this week. Hell yeah, it's been a good week.
I don't know where things are in terms of football season, but is it look like they're going to make it to the Super Bowl or no?
No, so it's bracket wise, there are in the NFL, you've got 3 games, basically 32 teams split the conferences. One at one side on each side of the bracket for the playoffs, and then you essentially have 7 teams in each playoff bracket, and then they wanted 7 basically for more money to get an extra game out of everything because that's how it always works. So it's 3 games, that first weekend. Now there's 4 teams on each side left. Then it turns into 2. Then it turns into 1 and 1, and then those 2 play in the Super Bowl. So that happens. There's always a week.
Yeah, the Super Bowl is
this week,
beginning
next
of February.
week, then there's a break week, and then that 4 weeks from now we'll have a winner of the Super Bowl and everything.
Yeah. So you does it seem like the Cowboys are going to be getting there?
This is their biggest challenge this week against the San Francisco 49ers. If they win it this week, it might start me and my girlfriend did a whole thing because she's just done a bit where the Cowboys will never win a Super Bowl, and then she was like, you know what, if they win, I'll get a tattoo. Or she's like, if they make it, I'll let you pick my tattoo. If they win, I'll get a Cowboys related tattoo. And I was like, if they win, I'll get it. I've never had a tattoo. I was like, I'll get a Cowboys tattoo. And so we've already come up with what it is on the off chance it happens. And if they win this week, I'll be both happy and also starting to sweat out having to get a tattoo. But that's a good problem to have if it happens. So
I'm eager to see if you end up having to get this tattoo.
I know what tattoo it is, so it's it's not that bad, but still.
I'm curious. I'm kind of curious now. We're gonna all right. We keep tabs on this. Keep me updated.
All right, yeah, I'll keep you updated.
Definitely want to know. Definitely show the viewers and everything whenever it happens.
I'll definitely display the tattoo.
Oh man, see, this is the fun time we're gonna have here on the show this week. Of course, subscribe on podcast services, leave the 5-star review, and if you're on YouTube, of course, also subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you know as soon as videos go live. We said it before, this week, kind of a dour kind of week in the games industry for various reasons. We had a leak happen for Suicide Squad, which is not raising any more excitement or hopes for that game, unfortunately. Marvel's Avengers is getting shut down, which is disappointing to some, expected to many, but still disappointing nonetheless. Still sad thing to have happen. And Microsoft was hit with many layoffs, and some of them have affected 343 Industries, which is the developer of Halo. So we're going to be talking about that as well. It's a lot. There's a lot going on, a lot to touch on and everything. We're going to start this week off by talking about Marvel's Avengers officially coming to an end. This was rumored / reported by an insider who has leaked a bunch of stuff about Marvel's Avengers that's been accurate and all like this up to this point. So he's a very trusted source when it comes to Marvel's Avengers rumors or anything like that. And he reported this yesterday as recording, which is Friday earlier in the day. And then that afternoon, Crystal Dynamics, they posted a blog page on their site basically saying, yeah, it's real, it's happening. So they announced that Marvel's Avengers will lose its official support. Official support will for the game will end on September 30th, 2023. That's not too far away. Tyler, just off that right there alone, what are your like first initial thoughts, initial impressions?
Good riddance. Not probably unfortunately lose their job, but good riddance to this game. God, I mean, we'll talk about it's dying, but it's not really dying because its spiritual successor is living on. Side of the comics, on the other side of the comics,
The
Tiff
bridge.
there, but yeah, who cares about this game in 2023 is the real question. And man, September, they're still working on it. Like I'm sure someone out there, like if you'd let me bet on this prop a couple years ago, back when it was like tanking, I probably would have taken like the under on like it lasting till this long. So if you're a fan of this game, you got it for longer, then let's be real, you probably deserved. Just not really a great game. It's let this be a lesson to all other games. Cut it with the live service bullshit. Like we're not idiots. Like we know what you're doing. Stop taking. Just don't make or don't. I was gonna say don't make Suicide Squad, but yeah, don't make Avengers. Don't make Suicide Squad. If these are the kind of games you want, let it be a fucking other Tom Clancy game.
Yeah. So like I actually, when me and Karen were talking about this last year, it was I think before the Black Panther expansion came out, and I think we had just seen Spider-Man, or like we were still waiting to see Spider-Man, something like that. We were saying like at that point, like, what does the future of Avengers look like? Because like it seems at that point it was like, okay, it seems like people have been waiting so long for new content, substantial new content, like actually substantial new heroes. Like you had Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, but they were more or less like two of the same person to an extent. So people were like, all right, where are these new characters? There were rumors and reports that heroes coming down the pipeline were like War Machine, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, a couple different, interesting characters were coming down the pipeline and everything. It's like, all right, when are we going to hear about them? When are we going to see them? And just so much, just a long period of dry news, not really hearing anything at all. And then it was like, all right, Black Panther's coming. That needs to be a turning point for this game. Like it needs to be the thing where it's like, all right, now we're getting it in gear. Spider-Man, whenever that happens, could hopefully be another turning point to bring people back on the PlayStation side at the very least. And we were saying like, what are the chances it's actually going to happen? Yeah, who knows? It was like, and if those fail, like we didn't really see the game lasting much longer past that. And then they got acquired, and we were like, okay, no, not acquired. They got shifted from Square Enix to Embracer. We were like, what's gonna happen with Marvel's Avengers now? Like, are they gonna still keep this going down keep on trucking on this game, or just say, all right, cut the cord, we're cutting our losses and moving on to something else? So I'm surprised also that it's lasted as long as it has, but the writing was on the wall for this game for quite a while. And like I bought it for $20 last year just because I wanted to play the campaign. Like I was in the mood to play like a superhero Avengers game. I was like, you know what? I just want to do the story mode. I don't really care about the live service post game stuff, And I liked the story. I thought the story was good. And then like you had some of the Destiny loot type stuff there in the story mode, which I didn't care too much about, but I was like, I can see the faults in this and all. But the core story, the main story was good. I enjoyed that. And I wish that it was just like a focused story game and not this live service thing that it ended up being. Um, Giving a little bit more information about the future of Marvel's Avengers leading up to the September 30th and beyond that. After the upcoming 2.8 update that's going to be releasing March 31st, Marvel's Avengers will not receive any more new content or features. So this next 2.8 update, that's going to be the last thing that adds anything new to the game. After that, there's not going to be any more new cosmetics. The whole cosmetics marketplace is going to get shut down. And any of the credits that you bought with real world money, that'll be you can't buy it anymore. Basically, you won't be able to buy that anymore. And all of that will just be purchased. Only purchased credits will be converted into in-game resources. So your money isn't necessarily going to waste. And then also, starting on March 31st, all marketplace, challenge card, and shipment cosmetic content is going to be made free to everyone that has the game. So basically, all the stuff that you had to pay for, just get it for free now. And they were saying they wanted to do that. It's like a sign of like thanks to the players and everything, for sticking around and so on and so forth. I saw some people say, man, so like I feel bad for anyone that just bought costume bundles yesterday. It's just like, what? It's all going to be free in a month, 2 months? Like, what? Um, Solo play and multiplayer will still be available after September 30th for as long as possible, but there will not be any support from like Crystal Dynamics end. So if there are any issues, Crystal Dynamics is like, sorry, we're dropping it after this date. We're not doing anything else. They even had like a little FAQ, and one of the FAQ questions was what happens if like my save data gets corrupted? Support will no longer be offered after September 30th was the answer. The game will still be able to be purchased until September 30th, physically and digitally. And physically, as long as there are physical copies out there in the wild. But once the 30th comes, the game will be digitally delisted. You can't buy it anymore. If you did have it and deleted it, you can reinstall it, but you won't be able to purchase it again. And sorry to say, but Xbox and PC people, you will not be playing a Spider-Man because he will remain PlayStation exclusive, unfortunately.
Welcome to the future, everybody. Everything sucks.
It sucks.
This is a question. Is this live service update shit just the modern day version now of, is it just the spiritual successor to loot boxes, which was the spiritual successor to the tacked on multiplayer? Like, this is just, I feel like as a whole, this is the meme where it's like from SpongeBob, where he's like, how many times do we have to teach you this old lesson, man? Or this lesson, old man, because it's like this stuff doesn't, like I was saying, pre-show, or not even pre-show, just a few minutes ago, like, we're not dumb. We as consumers, like, yeah, sometimes we'll sign up for shit, but like, we all like, not we all, but a lot of people like Fortnite, me included. But it's like, I think self-awareness like is important, because those are multiplayer games. They're designed around that. Like, we'll talk about it when we've been playing games. Like, I played a ton of Modern Warfare 2, but like, you don't have to buy anything. And I don't care about the 90% of the cosmetic crap in the battle pass. But it's like, with this stuff, like, don't sell us a game that's not even a game we want. Like, nobody's like, I need more content. Like, sorry, Greg Miller, you're the only person in the world that's like, I need hundreds of hours of content of grindy single player stuff like this. Like, it's just, I don't know who wants this. I think the sales bear it out that like most people don't want it. And I think Suicide Squad, not to bury the lead here, is gonna have to learn this lesson the hard way as well.
Yeah, it's like, I get that gets into the question, like, what could have been done to save this game? And like, I think if we're talking about, that's like, if we're talking about before this game came out, what could have been done was either making it a straight up single player game, or even maybe like a single player game that could be played co-op but wasn't live service. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is why I say nothing, because I think this game in its particular desired iteration could never have been successful. I think you have to fundamentally rework what Ubisoft wanted the game to be.
You mean Square Enix?
Square Enix, that's right. Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, like, so that's because the question of, all right, what could have been done to save Marvel's Avengers before it came out, with the game being what it is, of a live service focused type of game? What needed to be done was like, just, I think, really understanding how to run a live service game and understanding how to make that actually work best for Marvel's Avengers, whether that be in terms of loot distribution, meaningful loot, making it so that it's not so much of a grind, making it so that missions aren't so repetitive and dull, just like all those things, and making sure you have a steady stream of content lined up post launch, so that you don't have these long dry spells of where's a meaningful update, where's a meaningful new content. Like, I think if those problems were solved, or at least thought about earlier in development, the outcome could have ended up being different. Like, if there were better heroes coming out at a more substantial rate. So like say one new hero every 3 months. You know what I mean?
So
Like that could have helped things out for sure. But in the state that it turned out being, those things didn't seem like they were thought of early enough in development. So we just ended up with them just like barely treading water and just
I
eventually sinking.
my final take here though is that I don't think it would have helped. Like it's just me being genuine, because the people that cared about that, the Greg Millers of the world, were already there. They were desperately waiting for a drip feed of anything more. And I would like to think of myself as the consumer that they were trying to chase, who just gave zero, like absolutely zero shits about this game. Just did not care. And there was never a world you were going to make me care about this game, because it just, the whole messaging was off putting. All the reviews for just even the single player were just, it's okay. You know, when it's okay, or it's kind of fun, you know, when it's a 7 out of 10, and that's on top of the mountain of just garbage that was everything they did. Like I think on a certain level, it's just kind of off putting when it's like, come here, piggies, we've got a little content trough lined up for you. It's just so condescending and demeaning that you're just like, I'm not playing this game. Like for me, it was like at a certain point, you know, it becomes I'm not playing this game out of principle. Because like I don't know, like I'd love to see the alternate universe where the timeline diverged. And instead they were just like, how much money can we make on a just like really well polished, really well done single player game? The game this actually would have fundamentally have to been changed to work. I don't know. It's depressing that maybe they still made money on this failed, weird abomination than they would have just making a single player game. But like, I kind of also think that's a crock of shit, because I mean, look at what Insomniac made with Spider-Man, breaking sales. Like you could have just done that, man. They literally have laid the blueprint, throw co-op in. That's it. And they chose not to do that.
I wonder if like if Marvel's Avengers was, if it was a game that's, single player that could be played co-op, right? But because I'm thinking like, Guardians of the Galaxy, good game, I think. I think the flaw with that for me personally was you were stuck playing as Peter Quill, so you couldn't play as any of the more interesting Guardians with their power sets and stuff like that. But I think what could have been cool for this, like if they still want to have, okay, you go on a mission with other team members of the Avengers, is maybe take the Final Fantasy VII remake approach, where you go out on a mission, like you have a mission, and like you are given a set of like certain characters to play as or play with, go on a mission with, right? So say the mission requires Iron Man, Miss Marvel, Captain America, and Black Widow on this mission, whatever it is, right? And if you're playing it single player, you start off as one, but you can bounce between them, Seven remake style, how you switch between Cloud or Tifa or Barret or Aerith, like mid-mission, play as who you want. Or if you're playing it co-op with friends, then those other characters are filled in by them. I think that would have been an even better approach, to keep it
or
more of a single player story focus while still letting you play with others.
Talk about laying out the template. I don't even like these games, but just make Lego Marvel's Avengers, but like, or Lego Marvel, it was the game, I think, not because the Avengers one wasn't quite as good. Just make Lego Marvel, but like with less characters. And obviously full models and everything. That's literally it. That's all people want, man.
Yeah.
And I push back against, I don't think these games need co-op, and I think it changes the structure around them. But like, even then, I still think there's a successful version of those games with co-op. It's just so funny when these studios are like, oh, there's no way to make money. And it's like literally because Sony's printing money with Insomniac and that whole Spider-Man deal. Like Sony in general, the kind of theme here, I feel like this week is like, you can call so many of these practices anti-consumer, whatever, but it's like, I just think a lot of them are smart. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, charging $70 for a game sometimes is something not everybody wants to do, but it, if it means we keep getting good single player games, I'll keep doing it.
Right. Especially when, again, it was going to happen eventually. Like there was no getting around that at all. Like it was going to happen. It was going to eventually come down the pipeline. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully, lessons will be learned from Marvel's Avengers at Square Enix, at Crystal Dynamics, and across the industry. I hope different developers and teams and everything just look at it and say, let's not do that again. Let's not have that happen. And that's a perfect segue into the second story here, that being Suicide Squad. Because I hope Suicide Squad and the team at Rocksteady saw Marvel's Avengers and have seen it as a cautionary tale of what could happen with their game. And I mean, I think we said it before how this game has almost certainly been changed, or whatever Rocksteady was working on has almost certainly changed multiple times over the course of the year since Arkham Knight came out in 2015. Suicide Squad probably changed a bit too in that time. So there was a leak this week of just a screenshot. I only saw one screenshot. I don't believe there was any more than the one. There was one screenshot of a menu from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, posted on 4chan, corroborated by VGC. And it shows, it's a menu that essentially you could kind of look at it as like maybe a menu in like a Fortnite or in Avengers even. I'm going to describe it the best I can. The image is gone off the internet now. You can't see it. It's been taken down because of copyright reasons.
Save you some time here, though. If you would like to watch if you'd like to see a rendition of it, go watch Kyle Bossman's very good video he made about his most recent videos about this subject, and he just drew it from he did basically a side-by-side drawing of it, so that way he couldn't get in trouble legally, but also people could see it, and yeah, it paints the full picture.
Yeah, for the record, I actually thought about doing that as well. I just didn't do it. And I did not know that Kyle Bossman did that at all until Tyler told me before.
Yeah, we're not accused. I don't think he'll accuse anyone of cribbing his videos. He'll be like, nobody watches my videos. What are you talking about? Nobody's stealing ideas here.
Yeah, I definitely had the idea yesterday night, but I just didn't do it. Did not know Kyle did that. So here's how I'm going to describe it the best I can. On the center to the right side of the screen, you have the four characters. In the foreground was Captain Boomerang, who I believe was the chosen character by whoever was playing in that video, in that image right there. Then you have, Harley, Deadshot, King Shark in the background on the right side. On the left side of the screen, you have an image saying, hey, this is the mission that you're going to go on. And then it says you have mission select under it, start mission. You have an option to either be playing online, like open lobby, closed lobby, however you want your lobby to be. And then you can change the difficulty of the mission too. Top of the screen, you have a bunch of different tabs like characters, skills, whatever, so on and so forth. Battle Pass was one of those options. And that kind of set off a firestorm. Just like, why is there a Battle Pass in Suicide Squad? Other things on the menu before we get into that right there. There were different types of currencies on the top of the screen, which people were also concerned about and worried about. And then at the bottom of the screen, under each of the characters were two different numbers. I forgot what the numbers were, but one number was one color and the other number was a different color. So you see this menu, you see this screen here, and it just screams, oh no. No. This is going down the route that we all suspected but didn't want it to be. It's a live service-esque type of game.
If that was not a clear enough picture for you, listener, viewer, it is the Fortnite screen. That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's you and your friends. There's you and your friends, and you're the Suicide Squad, and it looks exactly like the Fortnite screen. And I just want to point out that I think a good point by Kyle Bossman he makes in the video as well is all of the characters that are traditionally not gun wielding characters are brandishing guns. It's it doesn't even feel like a superhero. It's arguably kind of more depressing than Avengers, because at least in Avengers they're still using their superpowers.
Yeah. So that Battle Pass, according to a development source that spoke to VGC, they tried to temper the flames and everything. They said here, no. The Battle Pass is purely for cosmetics. It's nothing more than that. It's just cosmetics, which to me, it's we pointed out battle passes are cosmetic already inherently, but this does not seem like a game that needs a battle pass. In my opinion, it's not a game that needs a battle pass. If it's only cosmetics, why not just have them in game as unlockables? You know what I mean? Why do we have to grind a battle pass to get these cosmetics? Other than, well, we need to check that box for the 2023 AAA game, fill out list.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing any of this. It's all unnecessary. I think I was telling you pre-show, I take everything back I said about this game last week. Well, you're like, you have a question on our docket. Like, do we have concerns? Not only do I have concerns, I do believe that this is just the same mistake repeated again. Arguably, potentially worse because of the so my theory here is it's more offensive what they're doing than even what the Avengers did, but might be mildly more successful because I assume they're kind of operating under the assumption, like kind of how you posed this question earlier, like, well, what if the content had been like the map had been better and had been more clear and had been more consistent? I think they're gonna operate under the assumption that like we can do it, like we'll be successful. And I think they'll probably iron that out. I think that may have been why, everything took so long. I think it won't matter. Like, I think it'll be clear as day by end of year that this game was financially not worth it. Even more so because it seems like they scrapped a couple of games that probably would have been more fun in the lead up to this game. Like, I don't think this was worth the 8-year wait, right? It was 2015. Yes. Was it 14 or 15?
2015.
Yeah, I don't think it'll have been, personally, I don't think it's going to end up being worth the 8-year wait. I'll probably still play it. And hopefully maybe if the blowback is really bad, if I go in with the right expectations, it could be Arkham or Gotham Knights level fun. Because I like
brain
as
go
Kyle
burr.
states in the video, which I feel like we were in a similar mindset with Gotham Knights. I just like drivel. I like chicken nuggets, But if it's like people unironically like it on TikTok or something, I'm gonna hate this game. Like if they're just like, this is so cool, I'm gonna be, nope, not even for a second.
So like, but what if the game actually like it comes out and like it is actually legitimately a good game? Like, and you play it, you're like, okay, like
I'll play the story and
I was
be like,
excited,
then
I was nervous, but no, actually, this is good. This isn't.
You know what? It will make me more mad, but less depressed, right? More mad because this was also preventable, but at least it didn't die this. At least it wasn't so bad on top of, like, at least there's a good game. And like, if it's a good game and you can see those bones and you can see that like Rocksteady still got it, I think that'll give me more confidence that it was the executive level decision to turn this into what it is that failed. And hopefully that means Rocksteady just gets free from being forced to do this in future games and we'll let him cook, because if it's bad like, and it sucks and it doesn't sell well, I worry what'll happen to some of the devs at Rocksteady if they'll get laid off. Like, ultimately, if it's a bomb, which I think it'll be no matter what, maybe not Avengers level, but I think it could be more financially successful if it'll sell slightly better or whatever. But ultimately, if it's a bomb, like, they'll probably have some layoffs or whatever. But if it reviews well, if it reviews decently enough, I think that'll probably save enough people's jobs, and you know what I mean? And they'll be given another opportunity, because then you have that argument of like, hey, look, people like what we do. It was the business plan that was wrong all this time.
Yeah. And like, I have here like the question, like, does what happened with Avengers make us nervous about this? And I was already nervous. And then earlier this week after the leak released, I went back and watched the gameplay trailer that they put out, I think a year or so ago, where it's like it's the cinematic shots, the gameplay and everything, because I hadn't seen it since then. And I was like, oh wow, I forgot, actually, like, all of this looks super cool. Like the movement, everything looks super fluid, the gameplay looks really dynamic and exciting and stuff. But it's just a matter of, okay, we need to actually see like an actual mission. Let's see an actual mission play out. Let's see. We haven't seen anything more since then. I want to see actual gameplay of the game. And like, maybe that'll help, temper some of the worries some more in terms of, okay, how is this going to turn out? Because I mean, before this week, I thought, okay, it'll be an open world maybe. But now it's like, oh no, it's mission structured, just like Avengers was mission structured. So, okay, I hope the level design is there. I hope it's not so grindy or repetitive, finding these enemies and everything. I hope that if whatever their plan is, like if there is going to be live service past, like, okay, the campaign is done. Now we're going into live service mode as you try to get better gear for your characters and stuff. Like, I hope that Rocksteady has thought about all of this. Like, I really hope they have looked at Marvel's Avengers barely tread water and eventually drown and said, we cannot have that happen to us. We don't want that to happen to us, especially because it's not even like this is just a DC game that's like its own spinoff. This is in their Arkham universe, and I don't want their Arkham universe either, to also like flounder and have like a tainted mark against it because of this game. You know what I mean? It's continuing on the Arkhamverse story. So I hope to God that they have looked at Avengers and said, we need to make sure that our game is not grindy. We need to make sure that it's not so repetitive. We need to make sure that there's more to it than just a fun story, that the game is legitimately fun to play, and that if we're doing live service content after launch, that we have a good steady pipeline of whether it be characters or missions, but whatever it is, it needs to be substantial and meaningful and engaging. Every few months, every 2 to 3 months, there needs to be something going on in the game.
Yeah, I wanted to be clear. I still think Rockstar's got the juice, or not Rocksteady. Rockstar. I don't know if Rockstar does. Hot take, but no, I just still think Rocksteady's got the juice. I don't know. I hate when it seems like a couple bad decisions by people up top is ultimately going to affect how we all view a lot of very talented lower level employees. Cause like they're the ones making this shit happen. They're the ones that ultimately the movement does look fun. I'm sure they're making the best out of, and I'm sure some of them are on board with it, but I'm sure there's employees in there that are just like, this is going to be disaster. And maybe they don't even mean from a technical gameplay level. I could see this being like, I think ultimately it will be kind of a ding against the Arkham universe when it's all said and done. Not Gotham Knights level of like, I don't think it'll have any technical issues or anything like that. But I think it'll just be, we view it with disappointment, but I think it could be one of those things where it's like after the fact, after the rubble clears, it's just kind of like some people look back on it like, hey, it was actually pretty fun. There was some really good ideas here, but man, did the lives like, don't make a live service game for a superhero game. Like, I don't know. I know that it sounds cool in theory, but it's like, it's not really. I don't know.
Yeah. And that, I was actually thinking about that. Like, man, like, is there a way to make a superhero game work as a live service? And I don't want to say it's not possible because I think anything's possible. I think it could work with the right team, the right plan, the right mindset. It could work, but you'd already be fighting the uphill battle of expectations of what the fans would actually want. And then you have to get them over to your side of like, no, like we know you might not want live service and you might not think it works, but it can work. And it's just a matter of finding that right team, that right idea, and all like that. That's why
studios
Avengers could have worked. There's a large roster of heroes you could have added to it, large span of stories you could have done in it. Like, I don't think it's impossible, but it all comes down to the plan, the design, and just whether or not you're up for the challenge.
I think, hear me out. I think, I think executives don't want to hear this, but it has to be B tier characters. I don't think it works with I don't think it works with the Avengers. I think the one thing I guess you could maybe argue is that Suicide Squad is B tier characters. I think with any kind of expectation, when it comes to like giant licenses, we all feel like they're being condescending. They're trying to milk us for everything that we're worth. I think it has to be something where it's like, well, this game wouldn't have been made anyways. Like, I think there's a little bit more understanding of like, oh, well, let's see what this is. And B, it has to be a studio that is multiplayer focused. Stop with the single player shit. Stop it.
Yes.
Make it a multiplayer studio. Yes. If Respawn came out and did this, we'd all probably be like, well, I mean,
we can see what happens.
Yeah, we're like Apex rules, so like we'll give it a chance. It's like Crystal Dynamics and Rocksteady make banger single player games. Let them do that. Stop stop putting a square peg in a round hole. Just go find a really good multiplayer studio. And what's funny is like, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was a really good game, but that would have made more sense. Like, I do at least like the line of thinking that, like, if they sully the Arkham thing a little bit, it's with the B characters. But I think even take it a step further, just take it as someone that was never going to get a game and just be like, give it to a multiplayer studio and you go, and you just let them cook and you make this as fun and weird. And like, I think the problem is they're coming at it a way too much of a not workshop, but what do they call it? Yeah,
like assembly line like, type thing.
The like when they test the markets or you know,
focus group.
Focus, yeah. This is way too much of like a focus group thing between this and Avengers, and it's like, well, kids, what do you like? Well, they love Avengers Endgame. What else do you like? Well, we love playing Fortnite with their friends, and they're like, and you like it because it never ends, and they're just like, see, guys, and they're like connecting the dots, and it's like, we're not dumb idiots, okay? Like we have brains, and we want good games. And so I think, yeah, and again, a little bit of expectation, freeing yourself from that, and then get yourself a studio that's like, yeah, we do this kind of stuff anyways. This is where all multiplayer's gone, and I think that's fine. You know, Microsoft, like, I could see, you know, a lot of one of those Call of Duty teams being like, hey, we're tired of doing this. Could we do this? You know, if Microsoft
like Punisher or something
got a deal with Disney or whoever, and they were just like, you know, like, we're not going to do anything with X-Men. X-Men has a lot of expectations, but like, get something weird, man, you know, and just be like, here you go, just do it. And then they're like, okay, that could be cool.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. Well, we gotta wait and see. It comes out the end of May. It's going to be an interesting conversation. I hope the best for this game. I hope it does. I hope the best for Rocksteady. Just learn lessons, and as Tyler said, don't put square pegs in round holes, guys. Just perfect fits, good fits. Look for that right fit. Put the round peg in the round hole. All right, that's enough superhero talk. I completely missed half of that word, and I don't even understand how I did. We got more disappointing news, really sad, upsetting news to talk about here.
Yeah.
That being layoffs, unfortunately. Microsoft, and it's not even just Microsoft is having a bunch of layoffs, but we'll talk about some of those in the brief mentions. But Microsoft announced this week that they're going to be laying off 10,000 employees across the company up until the end of Q3 of the company's 2023 fiscal year. And 878 layoffs have happened already. More are expected to happen in March. The CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, says that this 10,000 employee number is less than 5% of the company's total workforce. This is going to be happening across the company. So some of these layoffs have already affected the gaming side of things, with 343 Industries, the developers behind Halo, the Coalition, the team behind Gears, and even Bethesda reportedly being affected by these layoffs already. Before we get any more into this, first off, thoughts are completely with everyone that's been affected by these layoffs, and anyone that is going to be affected with these layoffs, like in the future. Like, thoughts are with you entirely. This sucks. You all definitely did not deserve this in any way, shape, or form. Definitely wish the best for any and every one of you. Tyler, initially, just off rip, what are your thoughts on this? Like, this is wild.
My initial thoughts, you know, obviously, thoughts with those employees, because fuck you, Microsoft. Like, that's my thoughts. Like, imagine getting a job at Microsoft and feeling like I've got stability. Like, if you can't get stability from a company that has a war chest of money, like, that's the optics on this. Microsoft deserves to be dragged through the mud, quite frankly, because the optics on this, I understand how, like, you know, I'm not like a finance major by any means, but I get it that, like, the way, you know, they set expectations for sales goal, yada, yada, they do this shit because it's all in the name of money, but that doesn't make it right. And it doesn't make it any less bullshit, and it's awful. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, we can talk about, we mentioned it pre-show, or I mentioned pre-show about Satoru Iwata talking about how he believes that, like ultimately you feel people's stress and anxiety essentially, and like the fear of losing a job within a game. And he believes that like, well, our business model here is make good games. So even if we have to take losses temporarily, like it's worth it to keep happy employees on. And Nintendo, like it's that easy. Like Microsoft, you have a literal war chest of money. You're basically a monopoly. Use that power to at least do some kind of good. And instead, the shittiest possible road was taken. So I don't know. It's just I wish like it's hard to talk about this in any sense that feels like we can do anything ultimately, because it's like, what are we just not going to play Microsoft games? That doesn't make sense either. It's like it sucks, and it's hard for us or for anyone. I mean, even within the games media industry, Giant Bomb and they, some of them got laid off, more Fanbyte layoffs, more Vox layoffs. It sucks. Thoughts with those people. Hopefully they get a job too. But yeah, this is like all awful. And I think all you can really do is like give props to companies that that are doing the right thing and continue to support them. And it's like not like, oh, Nintendo needs extra money, but like, yeah, like it feels like a little less gross whenever I'm buying a Nintendo game now. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
feel less bad basically getting free games with Game Pass, because you know what? They're not going to do the right thing with the money anyways.
yeah, and it's one of those things where like one, as people pointed out, this was announced like I don't know if it was a year to the day, but like a year after they announced that they're going to be acquiring Activision Blizzard for basically $70 billion. It's like you could acquire them for $70 billion, but you can't make this work. You got to lay off 10,000 employees for your company here. Like that's insane. And then there's the other side of it where it's like you're planning to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is going to come with a bunch of employees as well. Who's to say they're not going to be facing layoffs from you whenever, sometime after they get acquired by you. Bethesda just got acquired by them. That like finally went through what, end of 2021 or sometime in 2021 is when that fully went through. So they're like barely 2 years fresh off being acquired, and they're already facing layoffs and stuff. It's just like it's not a good look at all in any way, shape, or form. There's also the fact that it was reported that the day before these layoffs happened, Microsoft executives were treated to a private Sting concert out in like I forgot some other foreign country. It's like you all getting not was it Sting? I think Sting was the right person, but they're treated to basically a private dinner and concert from some musician overseas somewhere, and then the next day you do this to all these employees. Like that's just like terrible optics there as well. And then going back to not just the game side of things, but across the company, it's not just 10,000 at one point. They're going to be doing this throughout the year. So going off to what you said about the Satoru Iwata thing, but wanting the employees, be able to do the best they can, put out the best work they can, like that's going to crush morale to have just seeing people get shuffled out the door day after day after day for the majority of the year. Like that's just going to crush people. It's going to affect development of whatever it is that they're working on, whether it be games, AI, tech, whatever the case may be. Like this is just bad on every single level.
Yeah. And I mean, they're obviously both beholden to shareholders a little bit, but to talk, like, I do think there's something to say about the cultural differences between Microsoft, a predominantly Western company, versus like what Sony and more notably Nintendo have done, not being Western focused companies. And it's just like, there's something uniquely depressing about American capitalism versus the way other places do it. They do it with at least a little more dignity, it seems. Like I said, how do you view yourself as ever having stability if you can't even get it with Microsoft, who we know has the money? Like I said, it is just a stark and depressing comparison seeing a year ago they spent $70 billion and it's not like they don't have money now. It's just, this is something they want to do. It's a bummer because it is cold and calculating. It's not even like, geez, like they don't care. This was planned. This was always the plan. And that's why they don't care about the optics of all the executives being flown out to wherever, playing whoever. It's all the same thing. And, other companies are guilty of it too, because I'm sure there's any Xbots in the comments being like, oh, wow. Like, of course, I don't trust any company to not do this. Other than, like, I don't trust them. But I think, like I said, with Nintendo especially, it's nice to see that. And yeah, if they ever do it, we'll hold their feet to the fire, especially when you make comments suggesting you won't. But Microsoft, doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt, man. They're a multi-trillion-dollar company, and they're over here just doing crappy things like this.
Yeah, so let's shift it to gaming focus right now.
Yeah,
that's real big picture. Let's focus back on the gaming side of things.
How it's going to affect what we talk about specifically.
Right. So, like we said, 343, the Coalition, and Bethesda all reported to have faced layoffs. But we seem to have gotten the most information about the 343 side of things out of this news as of right now. So according to Jason Schreier, 343 Industries has been hit pretty hard. And the campaign team appears to have suffered the most. So Joseph Staten, who came to 343 after he left Xbox Publishing, came to 343 to help get Halo Infinite out the door and released and done. He's leaving 343 and going back to Xbox Publishing. 343 Industries studio head Pierre Hintz, not sure you pronounce his last name, who he came into the position last year after the whole studio was doing their restructuring and all like that. He sent an email to staff stating that the company had, quote, made the difficult decision to restructure elements of our team, which means some roles are being eliminated, end quote. And he also added in that the multiplayer and live service elements of Halo Infinite will continue to be supported. So then that same day, or I think the next day, there were rumors that appeared on Twitter, but then it spread to Reset Era where someone translated this because it was in French. These rumors appeared stating that 343 was canceling future development of campaign DLC, and that due to the result of Infinite's costly development and disappointing post-launch life, the studio was going to be shifted to more of a coordinator position on the Halo franchise, while other studios made new games in the franchise. That was then kind of sort of debunked a bit by Jez Corden from Windows Central and Jason Schreier, who they confirmed that information regarding an increased focus on multiplayer, but they denied the rest. They said the rest is either false or seems like speculation at best. So it's different. I guess it's tough to say, all right, what's true, what's false here, and how to really go about looking at the future of Halo. But right now, honestly, I've never been more nervous about the future of Halo, and specifically Halo Infinite, than right now. I enjoyed Halo Infinite when it came out. I thought it was a great game. You and I had a whole spoiler discussion talking about the campaign, talking about the multiplayer, and I enjoyed the campaign. I thought it was great, set up great potential for the future. I thought multiplayer was really solid as well, had great potential for the future once they just ironed out whatever issues they had when it came to the live service side of things. I wanted to see more campaign stuff. This Infinite was supposed to be a platform for Halo for the next 10 years. That's what it was supposed to be. And now it's Halo Infinite was it was just struggling, trying to stay afloat with the multiplayer live service side of things. Forge came out finally, and it's it's kind of sort of turning a bend, but they canceled the split screen co-op and all like that. It has such a rocky road that you were just looking for, okay, where's the light at the end of the tunnel for Halo Infinite? Where are we going to see, okay, things are back on track. We see campaign stuff is coming down the pipeline sometime soon. Good substantial multiplayer stuff is coming at a good steady cadence and all. And now I'm just man, I don't even know. I haven't played Halo Infinite in a hot minute just because I haven't had a desire to, because of just the lack of content that was there from the last time I played. And now I'm sitting here I don't know if I'm going to go back unless I just get a random itch to play Halo for a night or two. I don't see myself going back anytime soon. I really don't know what's going to happen with Halo. I can easily see 343 being shifted to that coordinator position. That was rumor or speculation, whatever the case may be, fan made, whatever. Like if that was something that happened, I could see it happening. And
Yeah.
it would be a shame if it did, because I think 343 has brought some good things to Halo. They have the gameplay down pat. They have gameplay is solid. They've done interesting, cool things with the story. I've liked what they've done with the story. Halo 5 notwithstanding. Halo 5 story was bad. But it would suck to see them just like said, you know what? You guys were supposed to be the stewards of the franchise. You guys have fumbled the bag so much that you're just going to be put on the side to keep multiplayer going and just make sure that everyone else respects the rules of the universe while we let other people carry the franchise on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love Infinite, and I wasn't laughing at the 10-year thing because I dislike it. It's just like, God, nothing means anything, guys. Don't ever get like hold any promises to anything. This is all dumb, and they'll change their mind whenever they want. I think 343 has like ultimately going to be a complicated legacy with Halo when it's all said and done. And I think they were close to riding the ship with Infinite.
Yeah.
And live service is just a different beast, I think. And I don't think they were prepared for that. And whatever, say like, oh, you should have been whatever. Like, I think they're good at single player.
Yeah.
And it's not that the multiplayer is necessarily bad. It's just that consistent drip feed of content and, everything that a live service game warrants, as we were just talking about with everything pertaining to the other games. But this just being strictly multiplayer. I think just sidelining them from Halo would be unfair, but
yes,
maybe
I agree.
Give them single player and give another studio, multiplayer or something, arrange something like that. I think Microsoft, like, I don't think Infinite's tarnished the name of Halo. I think as much as people want to say like, oh, like, I think maybe it's tarnished Halo multiplayer. Like there still is a single player component to Halo in that legacy. And I think pivoting again would be a worse look than like I think this is a situation where you just allocate more resources, give 343 what they need, even though it seems like they're going in the other direction.
Right. Like you give the oversight needed to kind of make sure that things are on track where they need to go, but then you also step back and don't interfere. You don't get in their way of letting them make the game the way it needs to be, make the game that they want to make. Because there was a dev on Twitter who was a former Halo Infinite, I think, multiplayer dev over there, who he tweeted out like after the story broke, he was like, yeah, like I'm paraphrasing here, but saying like, yeah, like the layoffs suck. They never should have happened. Like it's due to the like Halo Infinite's development was rough, and it was all due to the incompetence of the higher ups over there. He didn't say at which company, whether it be Microsoft or 343, but just like due to the incompetence of higher ups, like that's what led to Halo Infinite being in the state that it is right now. Like there are so many good people at 343 that love the game, that love the series, that want to make it what it should be, but because of all these terrible decisions, it just hasn't been able to get there. And like I worry that like if Halo was to do another pivot, or if Halo does take more years to get to a place where it's supposed to be, say like 2 years from now, right? And it's another 2 years before it gets to where it needs to be. Like at that point, outside of the Halo diehards, right? Are people really going to care that much about Halo like they were going into Infinite? Because like there's been that song and dance of this is going to be the time. Halo's back. Halo's back. People said it with Halo 4. They said it with Halo 5 to an extent. They said it with Infinite. Halo's back. Halo's back. And then each time, for one reason or another, that didn't end up panning out to be entirely true. And this was supposed to be the time. And I feel like as an outsider of the Halo community looking in, it seems like, third time was supposed to be the charm. We struck out in one way or another three times in a row. Like, how much faith is there that people are going to have to be like, yeah, we're still there. We're here for you next time.
I'll say this. It's funny that you asked the question, but because I was debating just saying it, I was like, fuck it. I'll just say it. This is my role on this show anyways, is to just say crazy things. I don't think people give a shit about Halo if you pivot again. I don't like. I think the general public. I think, of course, like you said, the diehards will be there. But I think this is, and I was thinking about this a little bit too. I think this is an unfortunate situation where Microsoft's interests as far as Game Pass go at odds with Halo, because I think Halo Infinite would have sold well if it had to have just been a straight up like people, buy the game. But I think it being Game Pass, we all subbed. I think a lot of people enjoyed the single player. I do think for single player purposes, Halo was back. I think it's a very good game. Obviously we talked about it in that review, but like I think of it as probably like my second favorite Halo game behind 3. And I think it could have sold well there, and it would have run its course in the more traditional way that a multiplayer game would, all of Modern Warfare 2 or any of the Call of Duties outside of, Warzone, which is its own separate thing. And then I think like Game Pass, I think Microsoft had these grand plans of, again, square peg, round hole, trying to be like, this is what Halo is going to be. And I think if it wasn't organic, like, I don't know, maybe someone on 343 will come out and say, we always wanted to do a live service, but that kind of just feels like it'd be lip service at this point, because it just doesn't seem like they were well equipped to do it. It just doesn't, if they're not well equipped, if it's not going well, I think you kind of have to read that as like, yeah, maybe they just like making regular Halo games, regular multiplayer games. And because of this square peg round hole situation, it just didn't work out the way they wanted it to, or, the way they were ill-equipped to do. And it's like, but they're good at making like Halo Infinite ruled. It was a good single player. The multiplayer is fun. It's just nowadays, if it's not a live service, a lot of people are just going to play it, maybe binge it. I think I played like good 20, 30 hours multiplayer, but then eventually you're like, I'm kind of tired of this and I'll exit out.
You see, real quick, I think that it's not, I don't know if I'd say it's a case of 343 and live service being square peg round hole. I think like I think they're a team that could do it, but they just weren't prepared for it. They weren't given the time that they needed to be able to do it right. So it's more of a case in my head of square peg, except you're missing an eye, so you don't have the depth perception and you're having trouble getting it into the square hole. You know what I mean?
To be clear, I think Halo in general might be square peg round hole with live service.
Yeah, I think it is too. It just totally makes sense. Just like, all the rumors and reports of a battle royale mode happening for it at some point. Like,
but it just never totally made sense for
like
Halo.
It totally. What's the thing? I think a battle royale makes perfect sense for Halo. Just it did not need to happen at launch. It didn't need to happen at launch. Launch Halo needed to have multiplayer, everything be solid to show Halo was back. Then it needed to be a thing of, okay, fix the issues with the multiplayer live service side of things before we get the battle royale out. And 343 is not doing the battle royale. It's rumored that, or reported that, Certain Affinity is making the battle royale side of things. So when that comes out, maybe that'll be another grand return for Halo Infinite. But like, Halo and battle royale makes sense. Halo and live service for the multiplayer side of things, it makes sense as long as you are able to do it properly, as long as you have it planned out properly, as long as you're given the time to make it work properly. So on day one, it's all functional, it all makes sense. It's not like, well, this is a grind, this sucks, this is, the stuff isn't coming in a good amount of time, seasons are half a year long, like what's going on here? So they just needed that extra time. They didn't get it. They just weren't prepared.
It is ironic that Bungie left and made Destiny, and now Microsoft is so clearly trying to turn Halo into fucking Destiny.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, Bungie had their own issues with Destiny, and they've, not to say that they don't still have issues with Destiny to this day. I'm sure they do, but like, they've turned a giant corner on the issues with Destiny and how successful they've been, and and so on and so forth, and all the problems and everything. So it is funny thinking about that. Like, Bungie left and they had issues and they fixed them. And 343 came in and they've managed to fix issues and then have more, and then fix issues and then have new ones over and over and over again. That's why I'm just wondering, like, man, I have no idea what happens next for Halo. What happens next for Halo? What happens next for 343? Because I mean, like, who's to say that they're not going to face more layoffs in the future, going down the pipeline of Microsoft's 10,000? It's an interesting problem here.
Yeah, but bummer news all around. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to say than that. Just it's a sad week for the games industry and all like that.
Even the brief mentions of the layoffs can't be avoided.
Yeah, let's get into our brief mentions right now. We got to start off with some more layoffs here. Unfortunately, Riot Games they laid off 46 employees. Unity laid off more than 200 employees, and Fandom laid off 40 to 50 employees, with some of them being at GameSpot and Giant Bomb. And you had said Fanbyte earlier, and you reminded me. Oh yeah, I heard that I'd heard of one layoff that happened over there at Fanbyte. Who knows if there are more that are happening over there? So just so many layoffs this week across games media, and then even outside of games media, like into just tech, like Amazon's laying off thousands of people, Google's laying off thousands of people. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. Thoughts are definitely with everyone that's just been affected by all these layoffs just across the board. Um, More downer news to an extent. Stadia has officially been shut down. The last day was January 18th.
I mean, Stadia is
no
downer, but
that's why I said to an extent. The Stadia fans, yes. Whoever was working at Stadia now has to be shuffled around. Yes. But it's no longer. January 18th was the last day. So Stadia is officially no longer a thing. Project Q was confirmed by Ubisoft to be one of the projects they canceled last week in order to focus on, quote, priority projects. This game was announced last year, actually in April on Twitter, to be a, quote, team battle arena type of game. So that's not happening. Wonder what else is going to be coming down the pipeline from them. Going off of that, last week we had a brief mention. Yves Guillemot was kind of in some hot water because he was talking to the company, about just, hey, I need your help. The ball's in your court, devs, to help us get this company back on track. And of course, he rightfully got flamed for that. He got a lot of pushback. So there was a meeting of sorts that Ubisoft had with the employees and all. And he apologized for this, saying, quote, I heard your feedback and I'm sorry this was perceived that way when saying the ball is in your court to deliver our lineup on time and at the expected level of quality. I wanted to convey the idea that more than ever, I need your talent and energy to make it happen. This is a collective journey that starts, of course, with myself and with the leadership team to create the conditions for all of us to succeed together, end quote. Which this might be blasphemous. I think this was the absolute best thing he could have said. And he said this is the best apology he could have given for what he said. That's what I think, personally. I don't know if that makes me a bootlicker or whatnot, but I can look at this and say, I respect that. I respect this apology.
It's all right. The best apology he could have said was sorry, I'm French. I don't understand American not euphemisms, but idioms. I don't understand American idioms very well. And that would have been like, you know what? You might not be lying.
People would have looked at him and said, fam, what you talking about? What do you mean you don't understand American idioms? Come on.
He might not have I can see misunderstanding American idioms. He's not realizing that it's like a somewhat aggro comment in American English. It's like the ball's in your court. Like, you do it now.
Yeah. Not the worst apology though. I can look at that as apology.
Yeah, there's certainly been worse ones.
Far worse ones.
This is right down the middle of the road for me. This gets a 5.
Sony has confirmed the full list of the 30 plus PSVR 2 launch titles. You can find it over the PlayStation blog. But some of the newly confirmed ones, I just have 4 written down here, are Res Infinite, Tetris Effect Connected, Before Your Eyes, which I am very excited about. Whenever I get a PSVR 2, I definitely want to play this game. And for Pavlov sure. VR. Those are some of the newly confirmed titles. Again, if you want to see the whole list, you can find it on PlayStation blog, IGN, other places. It's bound to be on the internet. Easy access. More PlayStation news actually going to round out our brief mentions here. Returnal has been confirmed to come to PC on February 15th. If you want all the PC spec details and everything, again, you can find it online. And excitingly, HBO's The Last of Us that premiere on Sunday drew in 4.7 million viewers when it aired, making it the second biggest debut of the past decade for HBO, coming in behind House of the Dragon. And The Last of Us garnered a total of 10 million viewers in 2 days. Congrats to the team over there working on the show at Naughty Dog, everyone, because that show is amazing so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. That first episode, if it's an indication of the quality of the rest of the season, we got us a really, really, really big hit on our hands right here.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I was telling you pre-show how me and my girlfriend will watch. We were finishing up White Lotus. We're gonna watch this now, so we'll probably do 1 and 2 on Sunday. So who knows? Maybe if it's bare bones enough, we'll do a mini spoiler cast for Last of Us at the end of next week's episode.
Perhaps we will. Perhaps we will. Or maybe, I've been thinking about, all right, what type of content I want to do for The Last of Us in some way, shape, or form. Maybe when the show is done, because I think it's only 8 episodes. I think it is. So maybe when it's
just a full blown episode for that.
Yeah, do a full blown spoiler cast. Maybe that'll be like it's like an episode of the cast, or maybe like a bonus episode of some sort that we do. Like, well, we'll see. Well, I'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. But I do want to do something with it because show's really good, really, really good. All right, that is it for news this week. No more news, no more brief mentions. Very few brief mentions these past few weeks, actually, which I've been pleasantly surprised by, but also very happy with, because it's nice to not have like 15 brief mentions. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. All right. Like, I could cut some of these, but like, I feel like they shouldn't be cut. So we're going to talk now about what we have been playing. We haven't done this since 2022. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done this. So I have a bit of a list here, but even my bit of a list, it's really more like 2 games that I'll actually really, really be talking about. But Tyler, do you want to go first with what we've been playing?
Yeah, I don't mind going first. I haven't played a ton. So I've played games, but it's been like mostly Modern Warfare 2. As I've alluded to on the past couple episodes, even though we haven't like been talking as much about what we've been playing. And it's like all been multiplayer. It has not been any single player. But it's, I mean, yeah, man, decade later, it still fucking goes hard. It's a lot of fun. It feels very similar to Modern Warfare 2. I mean, if I was playing this every single year, like this shit would probably get old. But
right.
I mean, I've been playing Modern Warfare in like going on a decade now. Or I haven't played like any Call of Duty really going on. Ghost was the last one I played.
That was it was 2013 when that came out. So it's been almost a decade.
Literally a decade, or almost literally a decade. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting. I'd say I still got it, but I'm actually a little better now than I was when I was a teenager. I don't know if the lobbies are less sweaty, more sweaty. What's going on? I feel like there was always a lot of hacking in Modern Warfare 2, especially back in the day. But
for sure.
But it feels good. I mean, man, I've probably sunk like 40, 50 hours into it. I spent a blast. It's just the gameplay, man. It's absolute nails. It feels and runs just like so crisp. Relatively little issues with like connection or lag, a little bit here and there. No game's perfect, but obviously other users having slow inputs, can affect that, because I have pretty fast internet. So it's usually not on my end. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's I've said it before, but it is like the perfect podcast game.
Question for you, actually, since you haven't played, you say this is the first Call of Duty you played in basically a decade. Like, how are you enjoying the gun handling and the sounds? Because it's like obviously leaps and bounds better than it was a decade ago, especially over Modern Warfare 2. Like, in terms of the guns feeling like they have, some actual weight to them and all, and sounding like they have weight to them and have some actual power behind it and stuff. Like, I'm just curious, like, how you feel about that in comparison.
In my brain, it didn't like to, whatever 19-year-old me, like, well, Ghost was awful, but like Modern Warfare 2 especially, I was like 16, 17 at the time, so I like it didn't sound bad or feel bad back then. But I'll be honest, I also play this on really low volume. Because usually like I'll play it while I'm working. I'll play it, and then I'll also have a podcast, like a headphone in, listening to a podcast or whatever. So like, yeah, there's a little bit of I'm not paying a ton of attention to the audio quality. Weight wise, I feel like the gun handling's always been. I still don't feel like it's super weighty. Comparatively to like if you go play Battlefield, it's always felt a tad more arcade, chaos ish from a Call of Duty perspective, which is fine. Like I still enjoy that. That's kind of what I want sometimes. Like weight and precision is like what I want for like a campaign. Like I think it's cool to have that. But even then, like I love Doom and it's not weighty. It's very much the opposite. But when it comes to multiplayer, like I just want what feels the most fun. Like, and even in Modern Warfare 2, I'm not picking guns with like low handling. Like they feel like absolute trash to hold. You're just like when you're pulling up your sight and it's like, no, no, we're just that's how you're not gonna. Your reaction time has to be just. Or these 13-year-olds are gonna murk your ass, man.
You playing on PC or PS5 or Xbox or where?
I'm playing on PS5, but I don't have the like cross thing turned off, so I'm playing. So it'll have the PC people controllers thrown in there.
So, question: when you're playing on PS5, did you turn the triggers off for the DualSense? Because I did.
Haven't. You did?
Yeah, because for me, like you said,
I think about it all the time.
You gotta get the aiming fast, and like it's like with the DualSense triggers on, it's not like it takes forever, but that extra tension that it has when you're trying to pull down to aim or to fire, it just adds a little extra weight that for me where I'm just like, nah, I got to get that faster. Like take that off entirely. Take that off so I can aim as quickly as possible and not to worry about it.
I always think about doing it, then forget to do it once I'm in the middle of playing. I should probably do it. I'd probably be like that extra 10% better. You know what I mean? Because it does throw you off at times. Like not often, but every once in a while, you're like, God damn it. It's the difference between you dying or not dying,
Yeah. Yeah. When I played Black Ops Cold War, the PS5 version of that, I kept it on for a bit. And then I was just like, nah, fam, I can't. So when I was playing this one, I think I had it on for the campaign. But then once I got to multiplayer, I was like, and turn off. I do not need you on anymore. You were cool for the campaign, but for multiplayer, I need to be able to take people out real fast. But cool. What about the Quarry? Tell us about that.
I just started the Quarry, so not a ton to talk about, but I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It's if you like Until Dawn, so far it seems like you like this. It's very much in the same vein. It seems like it is very obviously the spiritual successor. We were talking a little bit about pre-show about why they didn't get to the spiritual successor to Until Dawn earlier, but it seems like it may be a financing thing potentially. Who knows? But regardless, this game is very good, pretty high quality. Visually, there's always to me going to be a little bit of the uncanny valley stuff. Especially when they're like trying to look like real people. They do look like real people, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the actual actor in the game and stuff.
Yeah. The acting has been solid. The writing, it's B-movie horror, so it's intentionally a little corny.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because it's like I haven't played Until Dawn in so long. So I'm like, to have the comparison of like which one's better in that aspect, hard to say. I will say the jump scares start relatively early here.
Okay.
The horror vibe itself, I'm digging more in the Quarry than I was Until Dawn.
Okay. Do you think that
could end up not being that way, of course, but
do you think that could be because they're both of them were definitely slashers, but this one is like obviously leaning into the hey, we're at a campsite, it's a campsite cabin type of vibe, that horror trope vibe and everything. Like, do you think it's because it's leaning more into that you're feeling it more so than Until Dawn, or is it just like something else about it?
I think it's just so I think from what I remember, I don't remember until Dawn starting off like very like quick. I not that it was like the slowest start ever, but just it took a little bit to where you got to like there was more setup before you reached some of the horror. Whereas this one has like a prologue essentially that's I really enjoyed, and that starts off like pretty quick with some jump scares, some cool stuff. Um, so I think maybe it's like a smart way to maybe get you hooked in a little bit more, get you into it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like maybe some learning how to maybe tell a story
Pace things
better,
better.
how to just like, yeah, how to navigate the pacing and the flow, start quick, then get to the setup, then, so, which is cool to see if that's maybe my memory's wrong. Maybe it was like that with Until Dawn, but yeah, I think I'm digging it a little bit more. I'm also more into horror now, even so than I was whenever I was like, when did Until Dawn come out? 2015?
2015 or 2016 sounds about right. I
Jeez, that
played
was
it in
7 years ago. Yeah.
2016, but
Um, which usually I feel like a lot of times it's the opposite. People will be into horror as teenagers and then not, but I love horror. Um,
yeah.
and so, yeah, I think I'll have a good time with it. Is it going to be my favorite game ever? No, but like, I think it could be a 10 out of 10 for what it is supposed to be. Will it?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I always like the great games within the realm of what the perfect version of that is. Not, it has to be best game ever to be a 10. Not just like, is it the best version of that? Like, is it possible to make that game any better?
Yeah.
So far, well, actually, I'll lie. I'm not a huge fan of the weird storytelling device. I don't remember Until Dawn having this, but there's like between chapters, kind of like this fortune teller lady that like talks to you and it's like it's like this meta thing. And I hate that stuff. So
That
that
was
would
an Until
probably knock
Dawn.
it down. It's an Until Dawn.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
In between chapters, you would kind of talk with this guy. He'd be like, "Oh, so I see you chose to do this stuff." And then like you would have a book and he would have you like make some choices in the book that would kind of like tease things to
Yep.
come. And then he'd be like,
Same thing.
"All right, back to it now."
Not my favorite device for storytelling. Like it takes me out of it a little bit. Um, so that probably knocks it down a point no matter what.
I see.
But yeah, but still an enjoyable game so far. David Arquette, he's cool. Well, I don't know if the character's cool. It could be end up being weirdo, but like it's cool to see David Arquette in it. Bringing out some of the horror mainstays and stuff.
Question
guy,
for you.
I don't know the actor's name. Gideon from Righteous Gemstones. He's great. He's in the beginning and just like some well casted quality so far. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll hopefully I should have a full review next week.
Question for you, real quick. I know you said you're still really early on into the game, or fairly early on into it.
Yeah.
But in terms of choices, how are you feeling about the choices in terms of them being meaningful or having impact or and so far into the game? I mean, again, you're still fairly early on, so you won't feel the full impact till later, but
doesn't show like what would have happened yet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's at the end of the game, but it does like already. I wouldn't say it's like the most monumental choices, but even in that prologue, like slice, which feels like its own chapter, that like some of the decisions I made, like the kind of more like split decisions, or even the decisions that are non-decisions, right? Like there's a moment when a character's like, all right, come back. And it being a video game, I'm kind of like looking for some collectibles and going, I go to a part which triggers a whole different scene, which has like kind of a finite end result. So now I'm thinking, even though it didn't give me that choice, if I just went back to the car, are these characters in a different spot now? So I am interested. I think it'll be interesting if some of the decision making is more like that. It's like you chose something without actually choosing it, or was that a predefined rail where even if I tried to go back, the game would have pushed me towards? I don't know. But like I'll be interested to see when it gives me like my recap at the end of the game.
Cool. Yeah, because I remember I liked the choices in Until Dawn, and I felt that like they had meaning, they had impact, like that I had a say over the things that happened to the characters in Until Dawn. Because like it's crazy
for sure, yeah, like
it's crazy
the fact
how
that everyone can live in Until Dawn.
Right, everyone could live, everyone could die if you want them to. It's crazy how like even there are certain times where like a character could die where you didn't think they could die, or like because of something you said to them earlier in the game that said, yeah, screw you, I'm actually not gonna help you right now, and so they die later on. It's like, man, all right, my choices got have weight to them. So I'm hoping that the Corey like, keeps that legacy up and lives up to that and all.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm happy you're enjoying it. You got me excited for it. I forgot about that game and I really want to play it. Hopefully I'll be able to find time to play it this year. If not this year, then maybe next year.
Between all the games you're playing, man, you just look at you.
Well, okay. So I got 7 games here listed out in terms of what I've been playing, but these are ones that I've played ever since like we went on a break. So it's not like I played all of them in 1 week or anything like that. There's a couple of weeks of games listed here. And like I said, some of them are real quick. I don't got much to say about them. Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok. Played that over the break. I basically did all the post game content. So I beat all the Berserkers, beat the Valkyrie Queen, cleared up basically every side quest there is in that game. Sure, there are trophies I could go back to get, but I don't really care about them. So I finished up Ragnarok. Really enjoyed.
You're avoiding You're not going for the platy.
I don't care. I didn't get the plat for 2018.
You think the platinum's easy? You said.
I said I didn't get the platinum for 2018.
Oh,
I don't care about the platinums though. Like maybe if it's a platinum where I imagine I could get it if I really, really wanted to. Like if I really wanted to find all the blood meads and all the apples for health, I could if I actually
that
wanted
stuff can
to.
Be very tedious. I don't
exactly. I don't care to though, so I'm not going to. If I wanted to like do something with the armor or whatnot, I could. I don't care to, so I'm not going to. So yeah, basically, essentially, I did everything that I wanted to do in that game. Done. I'm gonna bounce around a bit here on my list. I talked about Elden Ring in the Goaty episode, so I'm not really going to talk about it much now because I haven't really played it more since that episode. Like again, I've done a bit of exploring in Stormvale Castle, not too much. Like I really only played it for an hour after that Goaty episode. I do intend to go back to it and keep on playing it off and on throughout the year. So yeah, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Elden Ring, just go back, listen to the Goaty episode where I talk about it a bit there at length. Because I don't talk about it too long, but like I talk about it a fair amount in the Goaty episode, and that essentially is like what I have to say about it now. But I have enjoyed Elden Ring. I've had a good time with it. 15 hours in, it's a really solid game, really amazing game. Had I had more time with it, it would have ended up top 5 for me, Goaties. It did not make that cut though for me personally. So yeah, that's where I am with that. Breath of the Wild. I finished that over the weekend, like hours after we recorded the last episode. Finished the story. Like I was at the point where it was like, okay, if I want to, I can explore more. I don't want to. I want to finish this game so I can move on to other games. And I would have been Hyrule Castle and finished it up, beat Ganon. Cool ending. It's done, and I moved past it. I can say great game. 8.5 for sure. I'm looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom whenever that comes out. I believe
it's how ironic that me and you gave 8.5s to the whole discourse about which one we think is better. Well, obviously, I think Breath of the Wild is my favorite game ever, but Red Dead 2 is up there for you. We both gave them 8.5s.
I mean, we're not saying they're not great games. They are.
Yeah.
Just opposite ends of the spectrum on whether or not they're Goaty. Not Goaty, greatest of all time.
Goat. Yeah.
I don't think that's Breath of the Wild. I don't think it's Breath of the Wild. For me,
certainly don't think it's Red Dead 2.
That's a whole other argument. That's a whole other argument. So yeah, done with that. Destiny 2. I have jumped back into that right after I finished Breath of the Wild. I was like, all right, cool. Destiny 2, bam. Catch up on that story for Season of the Seraph. I didn't do this week's mission yet, just because I didn't get time to this week. But again, Destiny 2 is awesome. It's so great being back into this game, getting myself ready and prepared for Lightfall at the end of February. Looking forward to that very much. I don't really care too much for the armor or weapons from this season. Like, it's fine, but I actually vastly prefer my pirate's armor, my pirate themed armor from Season of the Plunder last season. So I'm just still rocking that stuff. But yeah, been enjoying it, been doing that some. Gonna do some more of that this weekend to try and do some more quests, stay caught up on things and all. High on Life, I played that over the break as well. Didn't finish it. I basically like halfway through the game. I'm gonna go back to finish it, more so just only out of like personal obligation. I don't like leaving games unfinished if they're games that I can reasonably finish. So I'm gonna go back to finish it. Um, I think the game is fine. I think it's a good game. The humor actually is not as grating as I thought it could be or would be. It has been genuinely funny at times. Um, at the same time, though, the humor has it does not hit the same for me as it did in that first hour or two. Like all these hours in, I say what I'm like maybe 5 hours in. I've done like what 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 bounties. Like I don't have many more bounties to do. I'm really halfway through the game. Um, so I guess you could say we're like 5 hours in, 4 or 5 hours in. The humor is like I'll laugh here or there, get a chuckle here or there, but it doesn't hit anywhere near the same as it did like the first 2 hours. The first 2 hours were definitely funnier than these later hours have been. But again, it's not like I'm like, oh my god, like it's still fine. Still get good laughs out of it every now and then. I definitely the Roiland humor of yeah. You know, like the constant the stuttered talking as you say the joke and all. I'm just like, sometimes it's funny. Other times I'm like, just say the joke already. Like, why are we repeating? Why are we stuttering our way through it? Why are we repeating the joke over and over? Just say it once and move on. Like, I get why it's funny for some. And sometimes it hits for me. Other times I'm just like, shut up and just say what you gotta say. Stop beating around the bush. So that's most of what I played. There are two other games though that I actually have more to talk about. I'm going to start with Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Okay. You asked me last week, is this a game that I think you should play? And I had said it's a bit of a complicated answer for me, I think. Let me say this: Crisis Core Final Fantasy Reunion, really good game, really great game. I definitely enjoyed it. The story is hit or miss, to say the least. I think Zack's story is definitely the best part of it. There are some other characters in it that, like, the story around them is good or has potential to be better than what it is. Like Sephiroth's story in Crisis Core Reunion, it's good. I enjoyed it. I wish there was a bit more in regards to like his relationship with Angeo and Genesis, who are two of the other like important characters in it. But I enjoy what we got from Sephiroth. Angeo, he's a cool character. I wish that there was a bit more from him, or wish that his story was better. Genesis, I hate with a passion. He sucks. He's annoying. You want to know why, Tyler? Whenever this character Genesis comes on screen, he is almost always quoting lines from this freaking play in Final Fantasy VII called Loveless. He's just always quoting lines from it. And I can't say it on the top of my head, but it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, this is your stick. Okay. But he just sounds so pretentious whenever he's doing it. It's just like, what does this have to, what are you talking about? What does this have to do with anything? And it's just so annoying. It's so annoying because that's just how he talks. Those are his lines of dialogue essentially in the game. Like for the first hour or so, it's like, okay, yeah, that's your stick. And after like a bit, I'm just like, I'm over you. Please stop. But the story, it's like everything outside of, I'd say, Sephiroth and Zack's story is just really, it's weird. It's weird in a way where I can see you being like, like, this is just nonsense. I can easily see you being like, this is stupid. Because it kind of is. It's a story where like whatever, like it could have been good, but it's just
and to clarify my question for if people didn't watch the last episode, I said, should I play it in the context of someone that really liked 7, my first game? I know this is 7 remake. And this is, I know, tied to 7.
Right. So I'm getting to that because Zack's story is very important to Final Fantasy VII. Okay. And like, it's not a spoiler to say Cloud is in this game in some way, shape, or form. Like he's on the box of the game. He's in trailers for it. He's in this game. Like this is a prequel to Final Fantasy VII. Because it's
I didn't even know all that.
Now you do. It's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing spoilery about that at all, so don't worry. Right. But
here's the thing. if you played, this is a game where I feel like you need to have played the original 7 before you play this, because if you play this before you play OG 7, you then know a very key plot point about Final Fantasy 7 that's not revealed until late in Final Fantasy 7's story. And this is going to be like, we don't know where Remake is going to go in terms
that's
of,
what I was going to say is
that's the thing. Like, we don't know where Remake is going to go in terms of how it's going to continue telling the Final Fantasy 7 story and how Zack is going to play into that. It's really not known. So because of that, I would say this. If someone never played the original 7, has only played Remake, and is, and looking forward to Rebirth and everything from there, and is interested in the Final Fantasy 7 universe, if you don't care about story spoilers for the future of Final Fantasy 7 past Midgar, sure, go ahead. But just do that knowing that you will have the impact of future events in 7 greatly lessened by doing this, by playing Crisis Core first. Crisis Core is definitely a game that benefits from playing at least the original 7 before playing Crisis Core, because then you're like, oh, I see now. You have a better understanding and appreciation. You're playing Crisis Core first, it removes the impact. And that's
I'm never going to go back and play original 7 though. This is not happening. Too long of a game, not going to do it.
I will say this. Like, I know you say you don't want to. I will say this. The PS4 and Switch version of it that's out there, they have little cheats in it, that easy access, where you can remove random encounters, double the speed of the game, and make it so you can't die. So you could basically, if you only want the story, you could play and just get the story like that and get through it fairly quickly. That is a caveat right there. But
that's still a lot of time dedicated when I have a big backlog.
I completely understand. So that's why it's like, in the case of like, if you only want to do 7 Remake, it's like, how much
they're not stupid. I doubt it spoils that. So that probably, for anything, for someone like you, indicates that they plan on going in a different, like, that's one of the parts that they plan on going in a different direction for the next game, right?
That's the thing. I don't know.
You don't know. I'm saying, but it's probably like a tease, an indicator.
An indicator of what they're gonna do. Maybe. It's the thing is, the how can I say this without spoiling stuff? Like, what Crisis Core covers. There's a very specific point, plot point or plot time in area and everything that Crisis Core covers that is talked about in 7 Remake. And you see it in 7 Remake, but you get a very different perspective on it in Crisis Core. That perspective isn't revealed until later in 7 story, and it's a very crucial reveal in 7 because it affects a lot. When you find out that different perspective in 7, it's like, oh, okay. And it kind of changes the way you perceive certain things and all. Like, it changes really.
Without telling me what it is, do you get someone else's side of the story? And is that someone else's side of the story also valid?
I'll say yes to that. It more or less, yes.
It's like the perspective shift. A lot of games and movies do that, where it's just like, you thought you saw the whole side do it, and then you see the other side. It completes the puzzle, and you're like, I don't know how to feel about the overall events that have transpired now.
Not necessarily, more so just like the first half of what you said, where like you thought you knew things, but then you see the other side and you're like, oh, now I actually see, now I actually understand things. And it changes the way you and the characters view things. So knowing that going before you get to that point in actual 7, it's just like, oh, well, I already know all this.
I have faith it won't spoil anything for the 7 Remake series.
I would hope not, because that would have been like, that's just crazy for Square to put it out, knowing that there'll be people that never play the original 7 doing this before that point.
I would like to play during a lull this year. Probably would have been good now, but for financial reasons, I had not purchased it yet. So
yeah,
who knows? Maybe after Dead Space and SpongeBob, I'll have some time
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Gameplay
not playing
wise, it's
Hogwarts.
awesome. Like
I'm not
gameplay
playing
wise,
Hogwarts Legacy that makes February a lot more light.
yeah. Gameplay wise, like it's a lot of fun. It definitely still has the bones of a PSP game, no matter how pretty it looks. Like in terms of just level design and all, like there and
Yeah.
character animations and stuff. Like the bones of the PSP, it's a PSP game at its heart. That's not changed at all in any way, shape, or form. But I did enjoy it. I had fun with it. A good 15 hours that I spent with it because I did like a lot of the side content too. If you're only doing main story, it shouldn't take you 15 hours. But
PSP games are coming back, man. Look out for that Daxter remake.
oh man, I actually never played Daxter, so I'd be down for that. If that means we're getting more Jack and Daxter, I'm all let
Yeah, I know,
Daxter be
right?
the start of it, man. I
Uh,
don't care.
I know, right?
Um, the other game that I actually have a fair bit to talk about, Need for Speed Unbound. I was looking forward to this game when it came before it came out. You know, I was like, all right, it's got yeah, it has the anime cell shaded style characters and a realistic looking world, which is kind of off putting, but whatever. It has style, it has attitude, it has personality. I dig it. I can get behind that and all. Here's the thing with me and Need for Speed Unbound. One, let's just say this off up front. One, the writing and voice acting, not good. You don't expect good writing or voice acting from Need for Speed games anyway. It's just actually really, it's noticeably
You
not
said
good and Unbound. It's
you came to the
noticeably bad.
wrong place if that's what you were looking for.
Like the voice acting is noticeably bad. Where like I can basically see you reading the script. Like there, it's just
They're
not
just like,
good.
uh,
It's
line,
basic.
please.
It's noticeably not good. But you don't come here for that. But just say that. Um, the core.
So you're saying it's so bad it's off putting.
I don't even know if I say it's off putting. It's just like, damn, like you're just not trying. You're just like, yeah, okay, just read the line, read the line.
Read the line.
The driving is good. I like the driving controls. They're it feels good and all like that. My issue comes down to the structure of the game. Okay. Here's how it's structured. It's structured on like a day by day basis. So the premise behind it is there's like a competition that you want that you're competing in, right? Every Saturday in the game is when there's like one of the big races for this competition, right? So you have to have your car up to snuff by Saturday so you can compete in that race. So you have Sunday through Friday to get your car up to snuff. You have mornings and nights. There's a certain number of races available in the morning, certain number of races available at night for you to compete in. And the position you get in the race determines how much money you end up winning from that race. Also, you also accumulate heat, a competition throughout the day. So the competition that you gain in the morning carries over to night. All right. So you have to be careful about how much you're out there racing, what you're doing during the day, what you're doing at night, because if you get caught, you can lose your money. I don't know if you lose all your money, but you can lose your money if you get caught by the cops. Okay. So you got to be careful about that. Balance that out between upgrading your car, buying new cars. That way you can compete in the race at the end of the week. I'm not the biggest fan of that because it's very stressful. It's very stressful because
Having the time
that,
constraints.
Exactly. It's just like I can only do certain races in the morning, and I like even like my car might not be able to do some of the races that are available on any given day because it might be like, oh, this is an A rank car race. You only have a B rank car, so that limits the races I can do from like 3 to maybe 1 or 2 at any given point, day or night. So
you're like it's the Majora's Mask I never wanted.
Kind of, sort of. And here's the thing: it might be lessened for me if it wasn't for the fact that you have limited retries in the game. So if you change your difficulty, right, if you're on the hardest difficulty, you only get 2 retries for a race. If you're on the normal, you have 4 retries. If you're on the easiest, you have 10 retries. Okay. The thing is, the amount of retries you have is retries per day, not just retries for the morning, retries for this one race, retries for night. No, you have 4 retries for the entire day, morning and night. So if you use 2 retries in the morning, and you only have 2 left, you don't have your full 4 until the next day, until Tuesday. And that makes it even more stressful because it's like, when I play racing games, I like to try to get first place, because I like to get first, but also in a game where I need to get that money to upgrade my car, first will get me, the most money I can get. So being like, man, do I retry this race to see if I can get more money because I got real close? Or do I just say, screw it, I can't waste a retry because I might need those retries later on tonight? That just makes it more stressful and nerve wracking. So I just kind of got like paralyzed. I was like, actually, I don't think I like this and I don't want to deal with this right now. And I straight up just put the game down. And I might go back to it, but I don't know if I will because I'm like, I don't like that structure. I'd much rather just like, if you want to do the day and night thing, fine. Let me retry races as much as I want to, to try to win and get the most money I can from it. Or let's just eliminate that structure entirely. Something like, it's just really just paralyzing.
I definitely can understand like where you're coming from with that, but also it makes it more interesting to me. I feel like there's so many
That's the thing. I can
games where
understand
it's
that
just
too.
like the same thing. So the fact that this is a little different, I'm like, color me more intrigued now. Like I was like, it looks cool. I wanted to play it, but monetary reasons and just time constraints, I was like, I probably won't end up. Now I'm like, I see the $20. I'm more intrigued now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I can completely understand some people being into it. Like, I think when I was listening to,
it's just not what you want from a racing game,
right? Like when I was listening to, I think it was an episode of Frame Trap or something. Like, Bloodworth was telling Michael Huber about it over at Easy Allies, by the way.
Yeah.
And he was hearing that, and like you could also play side bets against other racers to be like, yeah,
Huber was 100% into that.
Yeah, he was like he's like, oh, increase stakes, raising the stakes, making it, making every race worth it, and making it matter. Like he was so into it. So like I can understand people being down for that. Me personally, I'm like, it gave me the problem that I thought I was gonna have with Persona 5 of like, man, what do I do with my time? It's just like, oh no, like I don't like this. I'm just stuck in a corner right now. And I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it. Right now, I'm like, you gotta be put on the back.
You got a lot to play, yeah.
You're on the back burner because you're just giving me anxiety right now, and I don't like that. So that's why I am with it. That's why I am with all the games I've been playing. Quite a lot I've played.
Yeah, look at you. Just a smattering of everything.
And next week it's gonna be Forspoken. That's what I'm gonna be playing next week. So yay, looking forward to that. That'll be a fun discussion.
Yeah, I'll try and bring something other than the full Corey review, but no promises. But
not a problem at all. Bring what you bring.
Dead Space remake comes out the 27th, so I really won't have been able to play that. But maybe I'll have like an hour's worth of impressions or something. I don't know.
Looking forward to it. That's it though. That's it for this episode of the Play Win Podcast. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. It's been a fun episode, bit of a down one, but we brought brought some lightness there at the end. Check out the site playwaygames.wordpress.com, home for all of our content. So go over there, check it out. Hit up Twitter and Instagram at Play2WinGame for updates on the show and other things that may get posted over there. Remember, YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like, and let us know down below your thoughts and expectations for Suicide Squad. Are you looking forward to it now? Are you less excited for it? Are you hoping for the best? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And also podcast services, subscribe there, 5-star review would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Tyler, where can people find you?
Good Game We Lost, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Tune in next week to see how we can turn 1 hour's worth of content into 2. It's just what we do here, baby.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. And like I'm never mad about it because it's like the conversations are good like, conversations.
I don't feel like we forced anything here. It was just how we ended up talking.
That's the thing. It just naturally plays out, I love it. I love it. You can find me over on Twitter at Tyler Miller 2496. I talk about games I'm playing, shows I'm watching, anything I'm listening to, or That's just things I'm interested in. Just that's what I tweet about over there. So chat me over there. And yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for watching and or listening. And we'll talk with you all next time. Have a great one.
See you guys next week.